Welcome all. Happy to have you here today with us. We'll be starting in just a minute. Welcome, everyone. We'll be getting started in just a moment. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining the opening to our conference today, Spotlight on Emotional Well-Being, highlighting the past, present, and future. We're thrilled to have you with us here today. We'll have a full day of sessions. We've got a wonderful lineup of speakers scheduled, and we're excited to get today's program started. So thank you for joining us. I wanted to highlight for you all today the schedule. We have a few different things going on, several sessions that will be where we're all together for everyone, including the welcome session, followed by our keynote, Thinking Outside the Crayon Box. After that, Leveraging Your Strengths, a Foundation of Success, Recovery, and Happiness. After which, we will have several concurrent sessions going with individuals on the general mental health track and a separate school mental health track. You can join at 11:25, the motivational interviewing as a path to personal change, or the parent and community engagement session. We'll then take a break for lunch, followed by some afternoon sessions. Starting back up at 1:05, we'll have 4 separate concurrent sessions. Recovery Innovations Roundtable, supporting people with serious mental health conditions, an expert panel discussion, or Unlocking Wellness, adding dialectical behavior therapy strategies to your clinical toolbox, or on the school mental health track, school-based mental health funding, or POWER, the Positive Outcomes with Emotional Regulation program, a Tier 2 group intervention. We also will have, I neglected to say, at 11:25, a session offered in Spanish looking a close look at LGBTQ plus community in Puerto Rico, the contexts and experiences. And then switching back to the afternoon, we'll all come back together for using acceptance and commitment training to go from self-care to community care at 2:05, followed by a brief closing at 3 o'clock. I wanted to make you all aware that all of the sessions that are offered in English are available with ASL translation, and several of the English language sessions also have simultaneous Spanish translation. So you'll see here on this slide that all of the sessions marked with an asterisk have an option for Spanish translation. As some of you may know, and some of you may not, this conference is wrapping up the 6-year grant that we received for the MHTTC. So I wanted to highlight just a few things from our 6 wonderful years together and offering services to all of you. We've provided over 570 training and technical assistance events. We've had over 20,000 attendees, over 18,000 product downloads, and about 5,600 course completions for our online self-paced web courses. We've also had about over 31,000 YouTube views of our recorded webinar sessions. And we're so happy that the work that we've done has had an opportunity to connect with so many of you. We're really feel very grateful for having this opportunity. So thank all of you for attending today and attending perhaps some of our previous sessions. We're excited to have you here today. I also wanted to take a moment to recognize the wonderful team that makes up the Northeast and Caribbean Mental Health Technology Transfer Center. I neglected to introduce myself. My name's Anne Murphy, and I'm the co-director of this center. All of our team and our project has been based at Rutgers University in the Department of Psychiatric Rehabilitation and Counseling Professions. And all of the colleagues that you see up on the screen here are part of that department. My colleagues, Joni Dolce, Michelle Zechner, Carabel Sanabria Velez, Kati Rivera, Heidi Trotta, Sean Karazak, Tania Leonard, and Meredith Franzak have all been key contributors to this grant, and both the work today and the work over the last 6 years would not have been possible without them. I also want to recognize a few other colleagues who have been part of the center and have since moved on to other projects within our department. Our colleagues, Christy Rovalsky, Alicia Lukachko, and Stuart Luther have all also been key contributors to this project. And none of this would have been possible without our PI and my co-director, Ken Gill, who's with us here to say a few words. So I'll stop sharing my screen and turn it over to Dr. Gill.
Thank you, Anne. Yeah, I am Ken Gill. I'm a co-director of the Northeast Caribbean Mental Health Technology Transfer Center. It's an interesting title for we're part of the network of national centers. I always thought it was a little bit of a misnomer, because when people think technology transfer today, they think about the transfer of communication technology or web and of course we're very, very involved in all that and its applications to mental health or behavioral health. But of course, it's been so much more, the MHTTC. It's really been about the transfer of knowledge, the transfer of techniques. Maybe if it had been called a technique transfer center, that would have been more appropriate. But in any case, it's all about sharing information and sharing information about how to better do. Focus solely on adults. It was expanded to school mental health early on, which of course is very appropriate. That because mental health is a lifelong endeavor and a lifelong issue. Our field is in an interesting place right now, interesting place of like strengths and accomplishments and challenges we're facing. And some of these I think are around accessibility. So the use of remote technologies, phones, the web, in some ways has promoted accessibility to mental health services, but presents a new challenge to all of us of how to ensure that those services are actually of a similar or equivalent quality to in-person services. Yet while that accessibility is improved, the accessibility for some people, of course, is not improved. People who don't have access to that technology or can't afford it or don't have a facility with it still have access problems. So that's something we're going to have to address in the field. Another thing I think we're going to have to address, which is really important to the overall mental health of our nation, is stigma and discrimination. So it's interesting, beginning in 2016 and 2017, before the pandemic, there's been an upsurge or an uptick in the number of people seeking mental health services, thinking they require them, and being pretty open about it. And this I took as like a fairly good sign, actually, at the time, because that meant people were more in touch with what they might need and likely to hide the fact that they have to seek help or they need help. And this is my initial judgment was more or less true. Some people do seem to be in more need than they were previously, and so that has to be addressed. But another issue about stigma is, as was mentioned, there's still a fair amount of stigma, and in fact, it's going to be covered in the program today around suicidal thoughts and suicidal intent, and the people have to often conceal it until it's too late. So that's another stigma issue that still has to be addressed. And in general, and this is kind of the sad story on stigma, is that stigma about the most serious mental illnesses is not improving. For some time, it was improving, but while it's assessed, when it's assessed, it's been found not to be improving overall. So it's kind of an interesting combination. It's one understanding of a need for mental health or behavioral health services, but for the most serious disorders, the stigma is not decreasing. I think it speaks to the fact that we all have to, and this is what the MHTTC was all about, and any future endeavors by our university or any future endeavors sponsored by SAMHSA are about lifelong learning. And we're all going to have to engage in lifelong learning to address today's needs, right? Because the needs of the people we serve change all the time. Their needs change, the challenges they face change, even their strong points change. And that all has to be addressed. But another thing about lifelong learning is that new interventions are emerging all the time, and adaptations of interventions that have already existed are emerging all the time. And we have to stop and learn about these things. Just because we understand an intervention conceptually doesn't know we know how to execute it. So I think there's some very important advances. And of course, there are some techniques that are extremely advanced. In fact, two are going to be discussed today. There'll be discussion of motivational interviewing, and there'll be a discussion of dialectical behavior therapy. And these are very advanced techniques. They really need advanced training. And while they're very useful and they have numerous applications and can relieve a lot of suffering, it does take a lot of training and practice to actually become at ease with these techniques, but also effective at using them. The MHTTC also tried to adjust the reality that it's not just about individuals or people, mental health, that there are social determinants and biological determinants and other factors that contribute to or detract from people's mental health. So what do I mean? It's clear that like organizational environments can very much impact how well people are doing. The best example is around our initiatives with school mental health. School is such an important environment, obviously, for children. It's a major source of socialization, a major source of pretty much their full day. And those environments can be more or less conducive uh, to encouraging children in a positive mindset and a growth and learning mindset or not. And anything that goes on within the school, it's equally important. So, equally important contributor as families or the individual themselves to their own. So, I think there's one recognition about organizational impact or social impact is that school mental health, in the broadest sense, not just interventions about individuals, but things about the school climate, school policies, etc., are all very important. Another organizational impact on, I would say, is in the broad area what's known as implementation. So, many people have experienced where there's interesting training, interesting education about new approaches, but then the initiative falls flat on its face or doesn't do very well and has challenges and problems. And these are often called implementation problems that we know how to do the right thing, except we can't figure out how to do it, or we can't figure out how to do it in our own setting or in a particularly challenging setting, or even just not even a challenging setting. So the MHTTC has worked a lot on implementation, and we're going to be going on to work on implementation more under SAMHSA's new initiative, the Mental Health Dissemination, Implementation, and Sustainment Center. This is all going to be very important. But I think there's a increasing recognition that the environmental context of how an implementation is actually adopted and sustained is very important. So for the future, what's for the future of the MHTTC? Well, our grant is ending, but our work isn't. All our materials are going to be available online. It's not quite arranged yet, but through a repository sponsored by SAMHSA and a repository sponsored by our university, Rutgers University. Most of the materials that we develop will be available to you and the public. And this includes videos, workbooks, manuals, etc. These were all developed with taxpayer money. They're all in the public domain. They're going to be shared for the future, and we'll share information about how to get those materials if you want them in the future. So I just want to close by saying, the MHTTC was an exciting endeavor. We were joined by terrific colleagues who really did a great job. And of course, like everything else, we're right in the middle of it. We're right in the middle of things. The grant might be ending, but we're in the middle of promoting lifelong learning about how to best address mental health concerns of both adults and children, and to address them through interventions, through organizational or environmental impact, and through being conscious of implementation factors. So I hope you enjoyed the conference. It's a good sampling of, as I had mentioned, it's a good sampling of what we've done over the last 6 years, and it's leads you to more learning for the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ken. Thanks for those words. In our last few minutes before we move to our keynote presentation, Kati Rivera is going to give you a brief orientation to the conference setup and structure for this online conference. So Kati, if you want to take that on.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. My name is Kati. I'm the project coordinator here at the MHTTC Region 2. I just wanted to briefly go over the orientation to the conference, the platform, and just to ensure that you know of these unique special features on the VFairs platform. What you see on your screen right now is the exterior lobby. So when you enter, you'll see that, and then in the middle of your screen, you'll see a button that says click here to enter. So make sure you click there. Then it will take you to our lobby. So on your left, we have the exhibit hall with 6 exhibitors who are joining us today, as well as the auditorium. And to join the sessions, you'll need to click on Auditorium on the right. After clicking on Auditorium, you'll see an auditorium with the screen in the center. And then in the center, you'll see where it says click here to view agenda. Oops, went too fast. On the agenda landing page, you will see all of our sessions listed in order of time order of today. You'll see general mental health, school mental health, and en español. And at the top, on the top menu bar, you will also have access to a demo video if you need further assistance or a demonstration on how to navigate the platform. On the right, you'll see the button to join. The session will appear in orange. And if you see the arrow pointing to it, it should say join or it's live and join now. Also, under each session, under the short description, you'll see a survey link. Please make sure you complete that. We really appreciate your honest feedback on the learning sessions you attended. And again, if you'd like to visit the exhibitor hall, please do so by either clicking exhibit hall at the top where you in the menu bar, or from the lobby, you can click on the left where it says exhibitor hall. And you'll be able to interact with our exhibitors during the conference and learn about their resources, their programs, and even chat live with them. As mentioned before, we do have ASL interpretation as well as Spanish simultaneous interpretation for individuals who would like to listen to the sessions in Spanish. In order to be able to access the Interprefy widget, we kindly ask that you first, going back, to listen to the Spanish audio. We ask that you please mute your computer audio on Zoom first, and then click on the Spanish interpretation button. And this is what your screen will look like. You'll see the presentation in the main Zoom, but then you'll see a widget on the platform, the Interprefy widget, and you either click on listen, and then at the bottom, you click Spanish language. Lastly, to access the sign language interpretation, you click on the last widget that appears here in the red box on the right-hand side. Just a few reminders, live chat assistance is available on this platform at all times. So please feel free to chat if you need any assistance or technical assistance. Please visit our exhibitor hall. And the recordings and presenter slides and certificates will be available on the conference website. The recordings will only be available for 30 days on this the website, but we will ensure to archive the presenters' slides and ensure that you receive your certificate. Also, as a reminder, our center doesn't offer CEUs. We invite you to download the presenter slides and certificate of completion to submit them to your credentialing agency for review. And again, I just want to thank everyone for joining our morning session, the opening remarks, and we hope you enjoy our conference today. Thank you.
Thank you, Kati, very much for that orientation, the new world of virtual conferences here for us. So welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for introducing yourself in the chat. We're so excited to see you all and have you with us. It's time now for our keynote presentation. So I would suggest that you keep the conference website open to allow you to navigate between sessions and see what sessions are available. We'll go live over there in the keynote session in just one moment. So why don't you go ahead and leave here and click join on the keynote. We look forward to seeing you there.